Welcome to the Lighter Side Cable Show, where we embrace the difference to unite health. My name is Susan, and we are thrilled to announce today that we have a free community event that brings women together every last Tuesday at Stories Coffee on 114th Street. But today we are so excited to have Courtney. And Courtney is the owner and CEO of Peavler's Passion Wellness, and she serves as a board-certified holistic health practitioner and certified functional nutritionist counselor. And she employs an advanced gut health methodology, incorporating functional lab testing and a hands-on approach to help women reclaim their health. Oh my gosh, we need this.
Yes, we do.
And you are local, you're from
Yes.
Omaha.
Yep.
So this is exciting because we actually had our free community event last night. We were just talking about gut health. So what brought you into the world of gut health?
Yeah, this is such a loaded question. So
It is.
I love this question. So for many reasons. So personally, my own story, I was grounded in bodybuilding. So for a very long time.
And explain that. When you say grounded in bodybuilding, what does that mean?
Yes. So I competed as a professional bikini athlete. So physique judging, muscular, the whole 9 yards of, literally getting your body judged on stage. So ironically, my story started from a space where I hated my body. And as a woman who had so much pressure on my shoulders, I had aspired to be like those women, muscular, strong. And ironically, if you were to ask me 10 years later that I specialize in the gut, I probably would have laughed at you. But my story started in just learning all things about fitness and nutrition. And where my shift was, I worked in healthcare for a very long time. I tried many hats in healthcare, nursing, healthcare management, administrative work. I did it all, and I loved the serving part. I loved being able to be alongside patients and working with them. And so what I did through my own story was, through competing for so many years, it took a toll on my body, my gut, my hormones. I was depressed. I was feeling suicidal. I was disconnected completely from my body. And I reached a point.
But yet you were focusing on it with
Yes,
the bodybuilding.
exactly.
Isn't that interesting?
Yes.
Okay.
So internally, I was in horrible shape, but externally, I looked healthy. I looked amazing, and I was very prideful in that. But what I realized is that the narrative needed to shift. And so during this time, I'd always done something, personal training. I had a business on the side, and I found in my work, so I was working in healthcare during that time, and my side gig was always helping people with fitness and nutrition, and my clients were bloated. They were unhappy. They were disconnected. And I was like, you know what? Like, there's a gap that's in health coaching, and there's a gap in Western medicine, and someone needs to bridge that gap. And so over time, I did as many certifications as I could. I went back to school. I just learned as many things as I could about the gut and how I could nutritionally fill this gap for people. And so I left my healthcare administrative job and started my own business. It was very scary,
Sure.
but I put myself out there, and every single day I pray that the woman that needs to hear me knows that this option is out there, because our potential is just so much greater than being muted by medications and thinking that we are destined to fit in this box. And that was a very big part of my story. Was I loved bodybuilding, and it brought a really lot of amazing things in my life, but it also brought a lot of harmful things. And there is a population of women out there who are trying to redesign what health is.
Yeah.
And that really is, not fasting all the time, not thinking you need to go to keto, not thinking, I tracked my macros for a decade, for 10 years.
That's
10
a lot,
years.
That's a lot of work. And so when you say, just for our audience who may not know what macros are, why don't you explain what macros are?
Sure. So our macros are your protein, fats, and carbs. So when someone counts their macros, we're looking for this balance. So we're taught this method of each person needs X amount of macros. And of course, it's bio-individual, which means each person, has different requirements. And for a very long time, that was the platform that I used in my coaching is macros, let's do this, let's do this. And then you throw in science, right? So nutrient absorption, calorie extraction. So you may have two people on the same amount of macros, but their body may not even be utilizing the nutrients that they're being provided. And so by being able to bridge this gap and walk alongside women, I'm actually teaching them to ditch macros. And it's a hard process because it's kind of funny, like you work so hard to learn how to be healthy.
Yes.
Go to the gym X amount of weeks, eat this food, eat that, don't eat that. And we live in a world where social media is inundated with amazing resources. But what happens when all these resources stack on your shoulders? And that's where I come in. So a woman comes into my practice, they don't know what they're doing. They've been following this diet and it's not working. Or they're just bloated and they have all these issues and they need help. So that's where I simply help them throw everything down on the table, including their health, their history, their mindset, their own narrative. And I help them literally dig into the terrain of their gut by looking in and seeing what's going on. And we build this beautiful approach of literally giving someone a new life. It's amazing.
It is amazing. And in fact, the gut has been known as like the second brain of the body. And I don't think people really understand how important the gut is. And before we dive into that, you had mentioned a disconnect. Explain that. What do you mean by a disconnect?
Yes, so I love using this analogy. So much like a check engine light, right? So you're driving down the road and your check engine light comes on and you're like, oh, what do? Like you probably drive for a while, you dread getting, taken care of. So by understanding your body's signals, your body's biofeedback, those are indicators. So a lot of people think that those symptoms like headaches, acne, low energy, low libido, infertility, the list goes on, those are signals. Those aren't the cause, those are the signals. And so by getting in and actually digging into the terrain and sorting through what's going on, and I always use this analogy with hormones. I'm a very big analogy person, so
I love it.
You have to visualize things, especially when it comes to science, because we need to correlate it to our life and understand so I need to do this, but why? So a hormone is like no different than a flare. So the Titanic, perfect example, those flares, if there is any disruption in the body, the hormones are not going to be able to properly flare up and let something know like, oh, this needs to trigger. And so oftentimes we are muted. We are muted with medications. We're muted with hiding the symptoms. But what we have to remember is these symptoms are it's like our path. Like it's laying out the stone of which direction you should go. And it's so overwhelming, but understanding your body and understanding like this isn't normal is the first step. And just taking a stance of empowerment and wanting to learn more about your body. The potential that you can step into is just amazing.
And it's kind of sad because the world and society doesn't cater to that, does it? I mean, it really kind of caters to if you have a symptom, get a prescription type of thing. And then what happens, that masks, and what you're saying, that masks your ability to really understand what your body is trying to tell you. It's like, hey, I need help. And so, and you said, so why the gut? So explain a little bit, why should we focus on the gut?
Oh, I love this question. Okay, well, for many reasons. The gut is the central highway for everything. The interconnectedness that the gut has to our body is paramount in the amount of health that you have. So 70 to 80% of the immune system is in the gut. If your gut is in bad shape, pretty much every system in your body is faltering in some way. It's like a domino effect. So one of the greatest and the biggest thing that I see in my practice is a lot of depression, a lot of anxiety, inflamed gut, inflamed brain. We have this huge superhighway that connects your gut and your brain. It's a connection that is still continued being studied right now. There's so much information out there. But someone who is having one symptom, whether it be mental health issues or gut health issues, it's always connected. We don't know where one starts, but typically it's in the gut. So that's actually what happened to me, and I always share this story. So I have a bottle of Xanax in my desk drawer, as well as 2 scripts for mood stabilizers, and I didn't use them. And I'll never forget this day. This was the day that the narrative for me shifted. I left my doctor's office, and I left with these medications in hand. I was a mess. I said, I'm not going to take these, but what do I do? All the color left from my face. I didn't know what to do. I was lost. I knew everything nutrition-wise, but I knew there was more. And everything is connected to the gut. Hormones are connected. Our nutrient absorption is so important. And a very big thing that I sort through with my clients when they come in is they give me a list of supplements that's this long. And I'm like, that's really great, but what does the gut look like?
Yeah.
Are you absorbing these nutrients? And it kind of is like gut-wrenching to know you spend all this money, but it's not working. And I always tell everyone, whether they're with another coach or with a doctor, the people that come to me have tried more, like between 3 to 7 different methods, whether it's a doctor, whether it's a coach or whether it's a diet, their hands are up. They're surrendering.
Sure.
They need help.
Sure.
And so to be able to really assess the body in this way, they're able to see their health through a new lens and understand a targeted approach. So I always tell them, anything you've done before this has led you here. Like, you're here for a purpose. Yep. And you're ready. And being able to step into gut health is so much different because you're focused on so many different things, and it really is a pattern of being uncomfortable and unpeeling the layers in the onion to understand, whoa, my body is supposed to feel like this. Like, when I'm walking alongside women, they have rashes, they have symptoms, and symptoms are good. We celebrate symptoms because you're detoxing. Like, so many times we think, oh, well, I've got this rash, like, my world is over, I need a medication, what do? You exist. Yeah. You learn what your body needs to do in order to heal.
Yes, I truly believe that as well. Our body has the capability to self-heal if we allow it.
Yeah.
So how do you know if your gut is absorbing the nutrients that it needs to be?
So there's a lot of signals, and it differs per person. So some people may have strictly GI signals. So of course we have our standard bloating, digestion issues, constipation.
And when you say digestion issues, what are some of the symptoms?
Yeah, so someone may feel heaviness. Someone may have more GERD. Acid reflux.
That heartburn.
Yep, heartburn. Yep. Sometimes it can be upper respiratory. There's a lot of signals. The face, acne, someone who has acne, your face is a direct reflection of inside of your gut. So a lot of people with challenges with their gut, it's going to show. And it's not always the face. Like I said, it depends. And when the body is any form of dysregulated, it's going to show in some fashion, whether it's GI symptoms, facial, fatigue. Fatigue is a big one. That's typically how I know that someone is really struggling with their gut. A lot of people who come to me have gone the hormone route and replaced hormones, but they're in this cycle where every 3 months they hit this ceiling. And they're like, ooh, what do I do? Like, do I get more? And you get more and you get more. But at the end of the day, the body cannot optimize. So you're providing some form of tools, but that's where an intervention needs to come in, because if you're genuinely having a hard time optimizing hormones, it's time to look into the gut.
Yeah.
And of course, there's other symptoms that are away from digestion. Mental health is a big one. Autoimmune disease is a big one.
Didn't they say like the immune system is like 80% resides in the gut?
Yep, disease starts in the gut.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, it's going to come to the surface in some fashion. And that's why, I shipped into this narrative of we're working to do preventative care versus reactive care.
Yeah.
So most oftentimes, and it's unfortunate, people have to be in this reactive mode, but by, listening to this channel and educating yourself and taking a stance of empowerment and just starting to learn of how you can prevent things, family history, learn about things, epigenetics. So that's essentially the capability for a gene to turn on in your body. If your lifestyle strictly determines what your health is going to be. And if someone listening, I hope that this speaks to them, that you have the capability to change your entire narrative for your health.
Absolutely. And that's the biggest reason why we come together collectively to let people know there is another space to live in. It is the road less traveled, but we're trying to make it a little bit a wider road.
Yeah.
So we have this summit coming up, and you are a speaker. That is so exciting. So what are you going to be speaking about?
Yes, I love this. I'm very excited that this is happening in Omaha, because as I've stepped into the holistic space, you need community. And I love finding other like-minded practitioners who we can have these conversations, because doing something alone, you can only be so loud. But when we unite, our volume is up, and that's what we need. So of course I'm talking about gut health. My goal really is to let the audience build a connection that is relatable, because when we talk about the gut microbiome, which is your bacteria, it plays a role in so many factors of our health, our metabolism, our energy, our ability to thrive and get pregnant and have this nice balance in the body. So my goal is to kind of shed light on inside of what someone needs to know about connecting their gut to their overall health.
Yes. Well, and that's, so in this summit, and what the summit is doing is that it's bringing local practitioners and trying to say, hey, this is what I am doing in this space. So when the founder Pam came to you and presented this to you, what were you like? What did you respond like?
Oh, I said finally. Ironically, when we talked, we both cried. So we are both Christian women, very much led by Christ.
Yeah.
And I loved the connection. I loved her passion. I heard it right away. And there's a reason passion is in my business name, because I started at my kitchen table and I prayed for this moment. I prayed to be able to get my voice louder so that women can actually start hearing that they don't always have to intervene with a medication. And so I was very excited for this event for people that are just learning, because that's the beauty of it, is there's so many different levels, whether you're just starting out or whether you're just, you're hitting the ceiling. You know that there's more out there. And so I love that all of us are local, because it is hard to find your community.
It is. No, it is. And that's the Wellness Revolution Summit, May 11th. So, and Courtney's going to be there. But I have to ask, and I know some people are going to be a little squeamish about this topic, but poop.
Yes.
Yes. So when you're looking at gut health, honestly, it is a great indicator of your health.
Yes, it is.
It is. So explain that a little bit.
Yeah, I love this. So your poop is your report card, right? So
that's a great way to put that.
It's uncomfortable, but also it's not. Because so many of us are taught to mute things, right? So I remember even when I was younger, and this is a discussion I have to have with some of my women, is you don't poop in public places. So what are you training your body to do? You're training your body not to go poop, right? So that is the biggest way that you can detox toxins and things out of your body, but you're telling your body not to do it.
Interesting.
So I know that was random, but it's...
No, I find it fascinating, actually. Yeah, because it's a behavior learn.
Exactly.
It's like, it's like hunger. Yeah. So I digress, but it's like you teach your body to be hungry.
Exactly.
And it's, you're not.
Yep.
And it's so easy to do that.
Yep.
Right? And so anyhow, so that's just an interesting behavior learned about that.
Yes, exactly. So ironically, I have a sign in my office that my dad made, and it says the poop reader. So I send lab testing to people's homes. They poop in a cup, and then obviously it's sent out to the lab, and then I get the results. So that process is not super great for people, but I educate, if you're listening to this and you do not watch your poop or look at your poop, start looking at your poop. You should not have food particles. It should not be different colors. The consistency is important. This could be a whole nother podcast talking about poop, but it's very important. And so many people don't realize. We deem constipation as not having a bowel movement. Normal people should be going 1 to 3 times a day, and that does not happen. And that's a process. That is one thing with my clients where we work on right away, because I can't do any of the good gut stuff until we get motility, which is things moving through the colon. So poop is your report card. You've got a few things that are your report card, and it's your poop, your sleep schedule, your menstrual cycle, your urine, like how frequently things are coming out of your body. And in a world, this is something that I talk to a lot of women about, is we have to be open about our bodies, because in order for our bodies to begin to heal, we have to understand the process of why this is important. And so if I do have someone who's constipated, I have to ask, like, do you go to the bathroom in public?
Yeah.
Like, it's an uncomfortable conversation, but you have to retrain all these patterns that you may have taught yourself when you were younger.
Now, do you think because women are apprehensive, and because the key word you said, you have to be open about your body, and that is a key thing that I think women need to understand if they really want to change their health. They have to be completely open. How did you get there to open up? Okay, I need to take a serious look at myself and look in the mirror. How did you get to that point?
So I love this question. I'd never been asked this before, but I would say for me, it really took a toll when I felt things mentally and physically stacking up on my shoulders. I was disconnected, and I was in this go, go, go mode. Type A woman, check all the boxes off, work out twice a day, do this. I mean, I was wrapped in bodybuilding. I was very competitive. I was very unhealthily taking care of myself. And so the first part that I realized was when everything blew up in my face.
And what does that look like?
I was depressed. I was bloated. My hormones were imbalanced. My sleep was disrupted. My menstrual cycle was disrupted. It was like everything just
was not working.
Yeah, like someone picked me up and just dumped me. And I I don't share this story often, but there was a time after I finished competing, I did the Olympia last year. I was in the gym parking lot and I was feeling suicidal.
Yeah.
I wanted to take my own life. And what's my purpose?
Yeah.
What do I do?
Yeah.
And little did I know, it was my gut. My gut and my brain and my inflammation. My body was like, no. Like, this is your stopping point. You're done here.
Yeah.
And so when I had to become connected with my body, I had to strip myself of everything. No more competing, no more medications, no more being disconnected from my body. And I was raw. I felt like there was a cut that was open. And anytime anyone would say something, I was feeling again. And it was so uncomfortable. And that was the point in my business when I realized women need me. Women need someone who can walk alongside them. And there's a reason that my approach is successful, because women need to know it's okay to feel like that.
Because you've been there.
You have to go through it. And it's very hard, of course, but
it's not easy.
But when we get into things into the gut, it's very intricate. When we talk parasites, when we talk things.
And when you say parasites, define that.
Yes, so parasites live in the body, so it's something, it's not great to talk about. A lot of people, it's trending on TikTok, I can say that, I get a lot of questions. So a parasite essentially is something that lives inside of our body. Everyone has them. It's just a matter of if it's gonna be overgrown or not. If you have the terrain, if you have a gut that allows for an environment for things to overgrow, bad bacteria, a parasite is a host that is living in our body. It's sucking our nutrients, it's sucking our life. It's controlling us.
And how do we get parasites?
The water. The water is a big one. That's a major one. Some people do get them when they leave the country, but we are exposed, and this is a whole other topic.
Yeah.
If you sit here and you're afraid of everything, I remember when I first started studying bacteria and studying, like, my husband will probably laugh at this, but I was afraid of the dishwasher brush in the sink. Because I was like, I can't touch it. There's so many bacteria. Like, when you start seeing the stuff that's in people's guts, you're like, oh my gosh, like, did I wash my hands? Like, I touched the couch. Like, and at the end of the day, like, being afraid is even more harmful.
And our bodies can handle it if we support it in the right way.
Yes. So the gut is so intricate, and so that's where I love being able to just help people understand step by step, because I can't start with parasites day one with you.
Yeah.
We got to start with the basics, right?
Yeah. And we got to start where women, where they're at.
Yes, exactly.
Because a lot of them just don't know about the space. And that is why it's so beautifully that you are in the space, trying to help women. And just what we're trying to do, with the summit and the free community events. And it's because it's not out there.
Right.
It's not. And sometimes women are overwhelmed with all the information, and they don't. So when they come to you, like, what are some of the issues that they come to you with?
Oh, yes. Well, primarily they come to me over dieted, which means they've been counting macros, they've been counting calories, but they have gut issues. And so sometimes what has happened, and it happens more often than I would like to say, but a woman comes to me who's been dieting for years, and
explain dieting.
Cutting calories, eating a very minimal, and let's talk macros. So macros, when it comes to gut health, mean nothing, because you don't know what your body needs. You know nothing about food. And it's kind of ironic, because the first part of my health was macros. I could not go over my macros or under my macros. It controlled me. And so when women come in, they don't know what food is. They don't know what a standard amount of protein is, or that their body needs those healthy fats. And so my first thing that I love doing in my practice, we order labs, of course, but the very first part is laying the foundation, and it's teaching them what is meant for them. And this is where it's completely unique, because dependent on the level that you come in, we may have to work on the very basics, where I teach you what food is, or maybe you just know you shouldn't be eating this. And so I'm very active on my Instagram page. I've post a bunch of reels, and yesterday, ironically, I posted one about, you've removed gluten and dairy, now what? Like, your results aren't gone, now what? So this is where I intervene, because you can do these elimination diets, but when you do this elimination diet and your body is still signaling that something's wrong, it's time for you to look into your gut health.
Absolutely.
And so just being able to shift the narrative for women to understand what they need specific to them, and it's different for every woman. Some women, we do a lot of mindset work, because if you don't believe that you can heal,
I agree.
you're not going to heal. And I am
Yes.
a firm believer in
Yes.
that. I really, really am.
I know, and I agree with you because it all starts here.
Yes.
I mean, all thoughts will create actions, and I think
Yeah.
mindset. And I love how you say you need to change the narrative because, I mean, I grew up, low fat was the queen bee of how we're supposed to eat, and it created a lot of health problems.
Yeah.
And now I basically live off healthy fats just because my body, you know, craves that to help with that gut and mindset. But to change that narrative, it was uncomfortable. And like you said, you have to step in uncomfortable.
Yeah.
And you have to be in that space.
Yeah.
And we have wonderful people like you that will hold these women's hands in that uncomfortable space.
I witnessed that firsthand being in both working in healthcare, but also being a patient.
Yes.
And working with health coaches.
Yes.
I had so many questions and I wasn't getting the support and I wanted to give up. And so when a woman comes to me, she's already given up.
Yeah.
And so I have to help her believe again.
Yeah.
And it's work, but I love it. I love the challenge because when it comes to your health, that's everything.
It's everything.
That's your intimacy with your husband.
Yes.
That's your relationship with Christ. That's having the will and the determination to fight.
Yes.
And so many of that is muted. We're just taught to shove it down when it's like, no, bring it up. Like, it's time to start addressing it.
Yes, no, I agree. And our bodies are temples that God has given us, and we just need to treat it right, but people don't know how to.
Exactly.
And so people like you are beautiful, and you're serving this client base. And Courtney's going to be a speaker at the Revolution Summit and the Wellness Revolution Summit, and we are so excited to see you May 11th. You got to meet this girl. She's fabulous and amazing.